call this meeting to order. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call. Wyatt. Here. Reeser.
Here.
Well, here. Laughlin.
Here.
All right. Do I have a motion to accept tonight's agenda?
So moving. Second.
Motion now. Man. Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Motion to accept the consent agenda.
Second.
Any questions or anything on that? Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Mayor's comments, commendations, welcome everybody. We'll move into citizens' requests and oral presentations. As we have done in past meetings. We will, if you wish to speak, we will give you 5 minutes. And it's just, there won't be, it's not a question and answer session. It's just, we want to hear your comments. I believe a couple of you have indicated you wish to speak tonight. We'll start. Jeff, did you want to?
Oh, Danielle, what color would like to go before me?
Okay.
Okay.
Did you know that or did you guess that?
No, she told me that.
Oh, is he lying?
Yeah, I just wanted to do
Get
it.
it
I
over
get
with.
it over with, for sure.
Thank you.
All right, addressing unresolved audit findings. My statement is based on documented findings from the 2022 and 2023 independent audits, which reveal a pattern of financial concerns that were acknowledged but not fully addressed. The city of Hudson now faces a significant budget shortfall, increased borrowing, and public mistrust. Given these circumstances, a forensic audit is under consideration. However, before another review is conducted, it is critical to ask, what is the purpose of a forensic audit if past audits identified these issues and their recommendations were not fully implemented? A pattern of accepted but executed recommendations. The 2022 audit conducted by CPA Rachel Thompson outlined key financial risks and provided recommendations to prevent the very challenges the city is now facing. The 2023 audit shows that many of these same issues were not resolved, raising serious concerns about oversight and accountability. 1, financial oversight and segregation of duties. The 2022 audit finding, one person controlled multiple financial functions, creating financial risk. City's response, the recommendation was accepted with a commitment to improving oversight. The 2023 audit finding, the issue remained unresolved, meaning the city acknowledged the risk but did not correct it. He questioned, if oversight was a known issue, why was no meaningful corrective action taken? 2, budget deficits and shortfalls. 2022 audit finding, a $607,396 deficit in the capital projects fund was flagged. City's response, the recommendation was accepted, stating the deficit would be addressed with federal funds. 2023 audit finding, the deficit was still unresolved and Hudson now faces a $1.6 million shortfall. He questioned, did the city take steps to resolve this deficit or did it contribute to today's crisis? 3, budget amendments and spending practices. 2022 audit finding, the city exceeded budget limits without proper amendments. City's response, the recommendation was accepted with a commitment to ensuring future compliance. 2023 audit finding, budget compliance issues persisted, meaning overspending continued. He questioned, why were budget amendment procedures not enforced despite past warnings? Number 4, tax increment financing, TIF mismanagement, 2022 audit finding, over certification of TIF debt and failure to to certify refunded bonds. City's response, the recommendation was accepted, stating that the city would work with financial experts. 2023 audit finding, TIF mismanagement persisted, requiring adjustments. Key question, what corrective measures have been taken to ensure proper TIF management? 5, conflict of interest and financial transparency. 2022 audit finding, the city engaged in business transactions with employees and lacked a formal conflict of interest monitoring process. City's response, the recommendation was accepted, stating that legal counsel would be consulted. 2023 audit finding, no significant changes were noted, raising concerns about transparency. The question if transparency was a priority, why weren't stronger policies put in place? Repeated response accepted without execution. Both years, the city acknowledged the audit's findings and promised corrective actions, yet those actions did not prevent today's crisis. Key question, can the council provide concrete evidence that previous audit recommendations were followed beyond just stating that they were accepted? If the city ignored previous audit recommendations, why should residents believe the forensic audit will lead to real change? 1, what steps will the city take to ensure the forensic audit findings are acted upon rather than just accepted? 2, how will the council ensure financial accountability moving forward? 3, what specific corrective measures will be implemented to prevent a repeat of past mistakes? Without a clear plan for execution, a forensic audit risks becoming just another acknowledgement without corrective action. Restoring public trust and moving forward. To restore public confidence in the city's financial management, a clear, transparent financial plan is essential. Possible action, documentation on how the city plans to correct the financial issues flagged in the 2023 audit. 2, a commitment to ensuring the forensic audit's recommendations will be fully implemented with regular public updates. Residents are not just asking for answers, they are asking for real solutions that address the root problems instead of applying temporary fixes or delaying action. Thank you.
Thank you, Nancy. All right, Jeff?
Hello, I'm Jeff Corey, 1141 Thelma Street in Hudson. With the current financial concerns, I have a couple points to be made. The current and the past city council has overspent the city revenue dollars at a tune of $3.3 million for the years from 2019 through 2023, as per the city accounting records. Last year, the city council spent over $900,000 more than you received. Your current property tax increase for 2025 through 2026 is 12% as per your proposed property tax levy paperwork. I know the cash cow from the speeding camera revenue went away. That being said, how do we plan on get the budget and reserves back to where they belong? Also, this is all the city department's responsibility to make cuts to get this budget back in order. If the department heads can't figure out how to trim their budgets, then the city council needs to make those cuts for them. And why doesn't the city council pass a resolution for a balanced budget? The taxpayers of Hudson deserve a city council that will not continue to overspend the dollars they receive and run the city like a business. If you don't have the money to spend, don't spend it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Could I request that we get, it looks like you were reading that. Could we get a copy of that?
Sure.
Anybody else? Yes.
Mike Youngblood, 401 Rose Bay Lane, Hudson.
Yes.
All right, so as you know, from my prior appearance a few days ago, I requested that the city adopt a nuisance ordinance that would prohibit reoccurring criminal activity at a particular location. As you know, my concern stems from the reoccurring and increasingly severe crime occurring at the Wagon Wheel Apartments, or as the mayor likes to call them, the mini malls. The city doesn't have an ordinance like this on the books right now, and there's no clear reason as to why we wouldn't or shouldn't promptly adopt one. You know, there's a lot of kids in that area. The apartments are really close to the school. Most municipalities have a crime ordinance like that, to classify property as a nuisance property. for that very reason. So I'm here again requesting that you guys take action. I know you're preoccupied with budget items right now, but, no, this is a pretty simple fix. And it can help ensure that that property or others in town, don't have, reoccurring crime over and over and over. It gives the city the ability to take action against those properties. And it would be, reassuring to, I know the parents that live in my neighborhood with a lot of young kids. Again, I think there's 33 school age or younger kids in my neighborhood. And, it's literally across the street from the practice fields and kitty corner from the school. So I urge you to take action on that as soon as you can. And again, I volunteer to draft language of an ordinance amendment if you'd like me to. So I can work with Heather to do that. The other comments I have, I just want to let you guys know that as a resident, I appreciate the time that you spend, which was pretty well volunteer, to act as stewards for our community. I grew up here. My mom grew up here. So we have deep ties to Hudson. I came back here because I love this community. This is where I want to raise my kids and have them go to school here. And I can say of a surety that I've never felt safer in the community than I do now. And I think that is due largely in part to the police force that we have here right now. And the good job that they do with community policing and their involvement and their visibility. So I would just urge you to take that into consideration when you're looking at budget cuts and making changes. But we don't want to sacrifice much in that department because it really has done a lot for our community. And, as much as we're growing and as spread out as the city is, I think that we risk a lot if we start heavy cuts to the police department. Thanks.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay. We will then move on to no committee reports, no public hearings, and we'll move into general government. Item A, discussion action to approve the third reading of ordinance 921 and ordinance amending chapter 65 stop or yield required section 65.02 by the Hudson City Code 2017 by adding stop sign number 46.
So moved.
Second, okay. Discussion?
Or did you second that?
Yes.
This is third reading, is that what I?
This is the third
Thank you.
reading. All right, roll call.
Mr.
Aye.
Sewell.
Aye.
Lawson.
Aye.
Wyatt.
Aye.
All right, motion carries 5-0.
Okay. Item B, discussion action to approve resolution 3329, a resolution to approve the organization resolution and agreement for credit card program. And this is to allow the mayor access to the accounts.
So moved.
I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, discussion?
This gives you full visibility on the
Transaction.
online transactions, everything. Okay, and how many credit cards do we have?
5.
And that's something we have not had before, is that full visibility, is that true?
Right.
Correct. We've had the printout of
Yes.
statements,
Okay,
but this allows her to get her own copy of it.
okay.
Thank you for that clarification. I just wanted to make sure that's what it gave you, that it wasn't just putting you as an owner of the account, but giving you actual visibility, the online
Right,
access.
right.
Authorized user.
Yes. Roll call?
Wyatt.
Aye.
Sewell.
Aye.
Cook.
Aye.
Reister.
Aye.
Lawson. All right, motion carries 5-0.
Okay, item C, discussion and action to approve resolution 3330, a resolution approving the deed of dedication and final plat for Marion Lane, second edition to the city of Hudson, Blackhawk County.
So, second.
Discussion?
I do have a question on it. Does this list, the flood plain information? Does it state that they can't fill in the floodplain? Does it specifically state that? 'Cause I didn't see it in there.
But that's part of our code.
It does on the,
Does it?
yeah, it does. It
On
says
there.
lots 1 through 5 are subject to minimum lowest floor elevation of residential structures per in accordance with city code. It says portions of this development are within the flood hazard are based on FEMA map, blah, 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 dated, blah, blah, blah.
Okay. So it is disclosed when somebody purchases the lot, it says.
On the actual, yes, on this final plat, it does say portions of the development are within the flood hazard area.
Perfect. That's what I
And
wanted to
it
make sure.
also contains the conservation easement for lots 1 through 5. Up at the top, so they're all subject to that, so I was just gonna bring that up, that. With this acceptance, that conservation easement is there permanently, there's no. Can't sell it, can't change it, can't, that's a permanent dedication as part of that Oxbow restoration project that must be there.
Perfect.
Any other discussion? Roll call?
Lawson.
Aye.
Reister.
Aye.
Wyatt.
Aye.
Sewell.
Aye.
Cook.
Aye.
All right, motion carries 5-0.
Okay, item D, discussion action to approve resolution 3331, a resolution approving the deed of dedication and final plat for Marion Lane, first edition to the city of Hudson, Blackhawk County, Iowa.
So.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call?
Lawson.
Aye.
Sewell.
Aye.
Cook.
Uh,
Reister.
Aye.
Wyatt.
Aye.
All right, motion carries 5-0.
Okay. Item E, discussion. Potential action to hire creative planning to complete independent audit for 2021 to 2022, 22 to 23, 2023 to 24, 2024 to present.
So moved.
Second.
The only discussion item that I have on that is, do we have an estimate? Oh, I saw
Yeah.
a rough estimate,
For
$10,000.
$10,000.
When is
and
that
we
gonna be?
figured that would,
Due?
what's that?
When will that be due?
That discussion has not been,
Okay.
if it's,
They're not indicated,
no, if it's a
my guess
retainer.
is that it's probably a
Retainer,
retainer.
so it has to
I would not, I wouldn't anticipate them to log away for
No.
5 years of an audit without.
be. And this would potentially take us back 3 to 5 years with it.
If we did 19, 20, 2021, what would the extra 2 add to that?
I would have to ask.
Did you ask on that? I'm
Okay.
just curious on that,
No idea.
adding those 2 years.
So, and say that again, which one,
19,
please?
20,
Okay,
2021.
okay.
And then what you have here.
And then just, kind of stating the obvious, the not obvious. This is not the same as the state audit that we turn into the state. This is diving into specific accounts to make sure the accounts were properly used.
That's what I was gonna ask you, is if they gave you, when you met with them via the phone, they
Mhm.
indicated that they can give you as much scope to their investigation as you want them to.
Correct.
So did they ask how they wanted you to define their scope? Like,
Not yet. They kind of gave us, some preliminary things that they took an initial look at. And, then we were to come back to say what we want to
Okay.
go a little deeper into.
All right, fair enough.
And I would, just speak for myself, but I think I'm speaking on behalf of most people up here I've talked to is we're in a tight budget situation. And so somebody might ask, why are you gonna spend 10 or more $1,000 if we extend it? Well, I mean, this is an absolutely essential step to us getting all the information that we need.
Mhm.
And an essential step to,
Transparency.
you kind of have the public trust. And so it's money that's well spent.
And I think Matt, to echo on that, it's something we're gonna need quicker answers on than waiting for the state.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be a quicker response.
Yeah, this is, and the state audit is an overlook of, things being in the right name and overview of a big picture 30,000 foot view, where this is gonna dive deep into each account to be able to make sure this is where this was supposed to be, or any individual things that came out. And they, they can go through bank transactions, they can go through everything, whereas a typical audit, again, is just an overview. And they're less specific things that come out of those audits. For example, one of them was the where am I at here? Something with the it was cleaning the library that we had to adjust somebody else because it was an employee that was cleaning the library, and that was where the
Conflict of interest.
conflict of interest, that's the word I'm trying to think. Good Lord, it's Monday. Was coming up into place, so it's,
I think it's number 5.
is that where it is?
Yeah.
Thank you. Yes. So it could more accurately describe what that is rather than just saying conflict of interest, which is very broad, that gives maybe a different impression of what things are, if that makes sense.
And
So-
how do we plan to arrive at the list of things we want them to take the deeper dive into?
My
That's our
thought is
discussion.
that we're gonna go back to them and say, we discussed it with council, and we wanna move forward, and then ask what their direction is,
And
and bring that back. With updates.
so my question to you guys then is, do you want to wait to do this for the price on the 2 additional years, or come back with that as another approval?
Let's come back with that as another.
Let's
So
approve this.
move ahead with this.
Yeah.
Okay, just want to make sure I know what you guys,
Don't,
okay.
yeah. Yeah, don't, I wouldn't delay. I'd
Yeah.
plow forward with what you got.
Any other discussion? Okay, roll call.
Reister.
Aye.
Sewell.
Aye.
Wyatt.
Aye.
Lawson.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0.
Okay. Item F, discussion, potential action regarding the fiscal year 26 budget. So this is where we'll go in and finish up on our, taking a look at the proposed budget.
So is that, do we close this meeting down and then open that
No.
meeting?
No,
No, but if
no.
anybody gets bored, they can leave at any time because it's super fun. But, yeah, we're gonna dig into, we only have a couple of thoughts left.
Page 11.
Okay,
So just so everybody out there kind of knows, we spent 3 hours, 4 hours, 3 hours last week going through the first half of the budget, which included police, fire. What else did we get to? Building inspector, EMS, streets, and library to confirm the cuts and the budget that we want to approve for fiscal year 25-26. So it will start June 3rd or July 1, 25-26. So now we have to go into general government, so city hall stuff.
Yeah, we'll do parks.
So I got one
Parks.
question before we do that. Fire department, any changes after we left last week, 2 weeks ago? Anything you want to comment or not?
That's for what?
Was there any other changes you wanted to make within that budget?
Well, we did find a few errors that every time we get one of these new sheets, whether we change numbers or not, when we were told the original budget that we had turned in with the additional cuts that we had made, all these sheets are different on every paper.
Okay.
None of them match up. Okay, there's.
Do you have a mark, which ones you got that are different?
Yeah.
Where am I at? Fire department.
Capital reserves.
So
Like at 40 grand difference from this one to this one.
40,000.
Matter of.
Is one
40,000 of additional cuts, 40,000
Cuts.
of cuts.
Yeah.
will you show me what you're looking at so that I can,
It's on page
I got page
4.
3 and 4 here, yeah.
On the bottom.
Oh, this one.
Christian, was there an updated, copy of this after?
What is your
last
final
Monday?
number, I guess, Sam?
We're not used to these sheets, so
Me either.
we're used to. We used to these here, yeah.
So
So what do you think?
Gary, are you,
reserves was a big one.
are you saying that there's $40,000 worth of cuts difference between the first version and the next version? And those aren't cuts that you submitted?
No.
Okay, so what category are they in?
Well, along with the vehicle reserves.
So we
out
have,
of that.
I have 225 on this side.
Ambulance.
Oh, on the ambulance side.
Yeah,
Okay, because those are in
Not
two
fire,
different.
or is it ambulance?
well, we found them on both.
We found them on both, but the total between fire and the ambulance added up to 46,000.
Okay, so ambulance,
Can you tell us, like, on the fire, was there a specific line item?
what you said, which ones were not correct? Like, March
The wages.
27th is the next public safety meeting.
What should the
And I'll
wages
have that
be?
on there. Just so you know. Yeah.
Hey,
I
Gary,
just have it on the top of that.
what was the wages? What should that have been?
Wages should have been 8350, 8350.
Okay,
For fire?
That's what it's.
The-
It should have been.
It should have been 93,
oh, 90.
Even 93,
93.50.
93.50?
And we have it as 8350?
Whose budget says 93.50?
That's what they,
Was it,
Facilities.
was the 8350? Or does 9350 with the rates or without the rate?
yeah, this is
The
the last one from last
8350 is what it should be, because we took out our rates.
So then it went down to the 83.50.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so that was correct then, on my side.
Not after last week, but at last week.
Okay, oh,
Chris,
Tom,
did you-
Hindsight,
Sorry,
hindsight, we've taken. I mean, look at overall public safety budget. And what percentage are we?
well, okay, one
I
second
mean,
though.
I'm just asking a simple question. What percentage of that 1 million is actually fire and ambulance side?
I wanna make sure I got this right though. The wages should have been 93.50 or 80.
That's what we were asking for, but.
We were asking the 9350, and then when you wanted us to make cuts, we cut it down back to 8350.
So we're sitting at about 20% of the public safety budget. On the fire and ambulance side.
Kate, is that correct?
I
I didn't.
Yeah, I don't
I
know.
mean, it's.
I don't
We're
know
sitting
how
at
much.
about
the total number
$300-some-thousand for.
Yeah,
ambulance
that's-
and-
Was that what your fire and ambulance together?
I mean.
Percentages I'm not good at.
yes,
Can
yeah.
you go over the,
it is
1.1
20%.
and 2000,
You're about 40, if you do fire, ambulance, police.
and then go back and look at like 2019.
But we're not.
What were the,
For fire.
yeah,
No, I'm saying public safety total. If you're asking me for the percentage of public safety that you are, it's not the question you asked?
right.
Yeah, that's what he asked. So out of fire, ambulance, police would be public safety and building inspector. So if you're at 336,000 out of our 1.2, you're at about 30% of our. 25 to 30.
But that 300 and some, that's what the.
That's what vehicle reserves
That's what the
coming from
reserves
township.
added in, correct?
That's the total in. And income in is the township money, right, Chrissy?
Correct.
Which should be sitting fire department, transfer in. That's not on this part, right?
No, it won't be on, it's not gonna be part of this, because it goes. When I get money from the townships, it goes into the reserve. It won't show on this budget.
So, okay, so the 225 that you're asking for reserves. Out of that 225, it's about 80,000 should be for townships pay about 80,000. Correct?
Correct.
Does that sound right to you, about 80,000?
80,
80 to 90, somewhere in there? So out of that 225, technically, this should show less than that because that income should go directly in there and shouldn't even be asked. Am I understanding that correctly? Do you understand what I'm asking? No.
Yeah, I was just gonna say,
Let me
did you
say,
say,
Kate, if you, 225 is a total bucket.
For their reserves.
Of that, 80, 90 is coming from the other townships. So our commitment on the budget would be 140.
That's what I'm saying.
Right?
Does that make, does,
Now that makes sense. You're saying that the number reflected on here is the 225 when that's clearly not our
Because we
money.
don't have a
We don't have
positive
to,
to offset
right.
that.
Yeah, because the money that comes in from the townships,
automatically should go into your
it
reserve,
should
it has
go
to be
into the
spent.
reserves.
that way,
And then you guys kick in the rest of that budget.
Okay,
So,
Okay,
that helps. That
is that where
that
I'm,
makes sense better.
thank you for saying it how I should have said it,
How's that categorized then?
because that should be then, where is the
So this
income?
presumes the full township money here.
Correct, because they're
When-
asking for the total of 225.
Right. Which, yeah, okay.
Am I saying that correctly? You guys are asking for a full 225, and out of that, the 80 or 90 of that is township money that has to go directly into it.
Right.
And then the rest of it, the city contributes. So technically, this number here, budgeting purpose should be 140,
If it's 80, yeah, whatever that inbound is.
because that number should reflect, the other 80 should reflect in there anyway. Is that where you're at?
Yeah.
Okay, making sure I'm picking up
Yeah,
what you're putting down here.
talking about the yellow highlighted
Township
line,
trustee
Yes.
money
Yes.
is, they're
Yes,
paying for fire service.
right, which has to go to equipment
that-
purchase, which is your
Well,
reserves,
that's just.
because you only use reserves for your equipment purchase.
Yeah, that's what it's supposed to go to.
Correct.
and was there other items then, like on the ambulance, you said that was not,
The biggest one, it was showing that the reserve money was not there anymore. It was confusing because all these lines say police on them instead of fire.
Right.
Yeah, we had
Yeah,
Right,
I
yeah.
froze that. It doesn't say that anymore.
So I'm showing in this latest
You
one,
guys had.
0 for reserves, what do
right,
you have in
made
for your
1 to
ambulance?
25.
Yes.
So that was the biggest hitter.
Okay,
And then the other one was the other capital reserves. In which that's for our ABs and all that stuff.
okay,
Because
and what did you want on that?
that was 10 grand.
say, I mean, please repeat those two.
So the one was for vehicle reserves, which
Okay.
was for 25,
Uh-huh,
and then the other capital reserves, which is like our ABs.
okay, what the vehicle reserve, what did you, 20, back to the 25?
And that's on the ambulance side,
Okay,
yes.
yeah,
Is it 25,000 or 125?
25,000.
25.
okay,
And then what should the,
oh, the other,
then what should the fire on the fire side?
Should be
Well,
one,
the other capital reserves on the ambulance side should be 10 grand.
Yeah.
All of those.
and then the fire side should be like 140,
10,
Yeah.
because 80 of, then we're gonna add the 80 to
Okay.
90.
Okay, I
Whatever
just
you
wanted to
guys
make sure
get
that I
from
had,
township.
that I have.
Okay.
So that.
Now makes sense what I was asking, okay,
So
sometimes I'm,
just to summarize, did we account for how the 40,000 went from here to here? From,
Oh, no.
do
No,
you,
because we had zeros for capital reserves on the ambulance side and 0 for, ambulance reserve for.
so I'm, Chrissy, you're more familiar with this than I am. Do you have any idea why that was?
I must have misunderstood them from the last meeting. They said that there was no, they were not doing any reserve askings for ambulance.
Okay,
That was what was in the minutes, so that's the way.
okay. And so that gets us, that's 35.
Yep, and the 225,000 from the fire department, on the fire department side was the same in the minutes. And again, I could have misunderstood that.
Okay,
So it looks like we took 225 down to 145, added 35 back. Our net is still positive. We're still to the good on your budget. Better than what it showed originally, because that other offset was never put in there.
Yeah.
Right.
and then that should make the accounting.
that makes sense?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah, I just didn't know what to put in.
You seem like you had another question.
No, I just wanted to make sure you guys were good with,
If we put
What's
those
there?
two back
You
in.
were asking earlier about our truck. I got the list right here.
oh, you do, okay.
Yes, so 2030, we'll be looking for a new pumper. In which now we have changed that, we're gonna be looking, because of the buildings and all that, we're gonna be looking at an aerial. So that's gonna be about 1.5 million.
Where will we put that? If we do that in
That'll be a
2030
truck reserve.
for a building? No, I think she.
Well,
was-
No.
that's
Yeah.
just for the truck.
I know, that's what I'm
And then we're
saying.
gonna have to have extra room for the building. I don't know,
I
I
mean,
don't know if we have the capacity to hold a aerial.
in your current building.
Yeah,
Right.
Okay,
if we go that route.
okay.
2030.
Yep.
So was the 1.5 building and pumper or just?
No,
pumper?
that's just for the truck.
That's just the truck.
And is that projected? I know it's hard. Is that projected or is that like today's cost?
That's today's cost.
So we gotta,
Yeah,
It'll
it's gonna
go
go way up.
Well,
just so
maybe.
we know.
And Gary,
It's gonna go up.
Gary, you just said if we go that direction, explain that.
It's all gonna depend on the city, how it grows. How many more people put up 4 or 5 story buildings. I mean, if the buildings keep getting bigger,
Mhm.
you're gonna have to look at that.
If they didn't get any bigger and we only had the ones we have now, would you buy an aerial? Or would you recommend buying an aerial?
It's tough to say because honestly, if you have to call on Barley or Cedar Falls, by the time we get there and make that, then we see what we have for a fire. Whoever's up there, they're gone.
I mean, if there's no more, I mean, my personal opinion is if there's no more at all 3 to 4 story buildings being built in the future, I would probably not look at purchasing an aerial, but if they continue to go up, then yeah,
So your,
they get bigger.
your equipment right now can reach how many stories? Just 2?
Pretty much a 2 story. With the ladders, cause I mean, that's all we got is ladders, so. I mean, with ladders, safely, yes, about a 2 story building.
Okay. You guys are good with what you've given to us?
With those adjustments?
Okay,
How's our reserves on it, from what we asked? Good.
Okay.
all right.
One other question though, before we move to the next one too, we did also ask, where the heck did Mary go?
She's over there.
Did you redo your numbers as well?
Yeah, I did.
Because that's one that we asked to go back
That's
to
right.
as well.
Yes, I fixed that again, I had cut my wage, you actually put that back in, I put the 3% back. Resulting in a difference of 9,644.
It's 3% for your employees. Yeah. And then everything else, like the hours and all that, you kept the same. You were cutting some hours.
They're still done.
Mhm.
So it was less than 10 to put the wages in. Thank you.
And also, there was a materials cost that was gonna maybe go to the foundation.
That's still.
So the only thing you adjusted were those 2 things.
Yes.
Perfect. Thank you for doing that.
I know. Chrissy, what page?
So the library stuff would start on page 9. And the wages are in the.
So the first changes, Kristen, what's that do to the net bottom on the library?
26.
It will add 9,044. So that would be.
I think the original cut was something in the ballpark of 36,000. Is that right, Mary?
Yeah, like 26.
26 or 27?
26.
I started dating my notes on here because I'm like, I don't remember what it is anymore.
Okay. You've got all those things to do,
Yeah.
okay. Okay. Any other discussion on the library?
Okay.
Then we'll move on to, did you say we had to revisit parks?
I don't know if we looked at it again. Yeah.
We-
I was like,
I just,
where's Jake?
Together and with the cuts we did from streets and parks, I think.
Bless you.
You didn't cut as much from parks,
Yeah.
but you cut more from streets
Yeah.
to kind of balance those two out. I remember that.
Okay. Sir. Anything that you guys want to take a look at here on the parks? No?
Nope.
Okay. Then we move on to,
Did we
move on
do,
to rec,
did we do rec already?
No, yeah, we visited it one time.
right?
We did
We haven't
rec last time.
revisited.
Okay. So you guys met with the rec team. Was there anybody here from the rec department, park and rec board?
You guys,
Gail was at the meeting.
I went to the meeting,
That's the one I was
but I
thinking
didn't,
of.
yeah,
Did they make any adjustments then after that meeting to their total?
they have not? Okay,
I
So,
know they were working.
okay.
Okay.
So we need to probably check with them again, cause,
That might be one we can amend after we get this approved.
yeah, I mean, I kind of have a, you know, like, they're still saying that they're gonna get $9,500 in sponsorship money in. And last year we took in a total of, well, so far this year we brought in 1,300. So I'm not confident that that's a good number that we should actually count on for that.
and I did pass along to them how they needed to be
They may have
more
to raise their fees to
self-sufficient.
self-sufficiency in there. So, I mean, I don't know how to go about doing that, but do we take that out as income? Cause then it,
That 9,500, I would say we need to take it out. Because we don't know, that's
you
fine
know
in the
where I'm at with
sky.
that?
I mean, if you said we're at 1,300 to date this fiscal year, you might be able to put in 2,000. Cause that's about where they're at right now. I mean, they're on pace for about 2,000 right now.
Because a majority of their things usually come like in the
Just in
spring.
the spring, but
So
still, I'm
they're
not
still-
confident they're gonna get 7,000.
No, I highly doubt that as well.
And last spring is included in the 1,300.
No,
1,300.
no,
was
this would
against
only be since
13,000.
July first.
What?
They had 13,000
Oh, yeah, my
budgeted
bad.
last year. And they brought, or this year, and
Right,
they
so-
brought in 13. Next year, the budgeting, bringing in 9,500. I don't know that's a fair number.
Well, I don't think it is. I personally say, I mean, I like the 2,000.
The other thing is, did they come to Public Works? Is that where they would have come? I remember being at a morning meeting.
They, yeah, they filter in
And
through
the
public
the
works.
whole pitch was that there were gonna be,
So
you know, tournaments, basketball, softball, all this kind of stuff.
Which is great.
Yeah, if it happens, it's great. And I don't know, I mean, I'm not around here enough to know if that's happening, but the numbers certainly don't suggest that it is.
Yeah, they were supposed to have a tournament in December and it ended up getting canceled because of snow and weather.
I was approached by somebody who was years ago part of the work, what's this called?
Park and Rec.
And they said, you know, we did a lot of stuff for free. And then we look at this new budget or newer budget and you're paying people to do what we did for free. And I explained to them, well, that was under the auspices that what you did for free was gonna expand, and turn into this big kind of money generator. A bunch of people are gonna come to town for tournaments and such.
Or at least be
And
self-sufficient.
and so and you know, as it always goes with these meetings, a lot of times we'll, if we're gonna try something new, we'll say, okay, we'll give this a shot and then we'll revisit it later. Well, now's later. And if it's not happening, you know, you have a hard time justifying paying people to do something that's not generating income. What was the nature of your conversation with them at that meeting? Along those lines?
Basically, you know, their revenue has to, I mean, their expenses have to match their revenue. So if they're,
Chrissy, can you send an invite to them for Wednesday morning? See if they could be at our meeting.
at Public Works.
Yeah,
Okay,
at least then we can have a conversation.
yeah,
Great.
So they've got a total budget right now, yeah, and we're gonna have to look to them, so 6,500. 65,000. 70,000. 103. $105,000 is what their total expenses are. 103, 154, whatever the case is. Okay, and they are estimated to bring in, well, they budgeted to bring in 75,000, but they've brought in 2,700 so far. What did they bring in though in the spring of 23 for, cause that's when they get all the kids to sign up for ball, so that evens out a little bit more in the spring. Know what I mean?
Not 70,000 worth, right?
The registration. Just recent.
Do you know how much they brought in for like, their total rec fees
What are you, for what year?
for
Ending 2024
ending 2024?
or ending 2023 with the spring of 2023?
Whatever the last year was. That they would have had fees coming in.
That's spring of 24.
Yeah, spring of 24.
Cause I remember it was a lot more than I thought it was gonna be, but I don't know that it was $75,000.
Recreation fees, for FY 24 was $50,075.17.
So they're 20,000 short,
So they're 20,000 short in just that,
22,000.
right? So. That's with. $65,000 in wages,
Mm,
60,000 and 4590 in FICA.
That would include ops and people at the ball field, plus the guys who are administrating this.
Correct.
Yeah, that'd be everybody that's involved.
So
Do we charge, Jake, do we charge any of these rec wages to you guys? Do you get paid? Does any transfer happen? Cause like they're mowing and,
Yeah.
okay.
So 103 in the expenses. And they could bring in 52,000. In fees, which still leaves $51,000 that we are. Paying for that.
So we need to talk to them on Wednesday morning.
Right.
Yep.
Yep.
So they need to cut that by most of that, if possible, you know?
Thank
Yeah.
Would be a big help.
Then we'll move on to the community center. It looks like the total ending after revenues and everything.
We zeroed that out with
Yeah.
the,
Inbound,
yeah,
equals
cause
outbound.
we had originally
Oh.
budgeted in the first cut, in the first packet for like 5,500 or 6,000 or something like that, and I know we cut it down. Assuming we're not gonna run it out as much, or
So
making
that-
sure we're not over promising, under delivering on that,
That room should be self-sufficient.
now that we've got the updates.
So where did we take the 3,000 from? It's not showing on.
3,000 was rental fees up here.
Okay.
So we assumed because we charge $150. So what did I figured it had to be rented 30 times during the year or something like that to equal that.
I was gonna ask if during grad season, it's really busy.
Yeah. So it's already rented for most of the summer, if I'm not
Um,
correct.
Most of the month of May is full. Like the weekends, Saturday, Sunday are full because of graduation. There's a, Saturday, half of the Saturdays and Sundays in June are full as well.
Okay,
So we brought in 1,700.
okay, so we are at,
With construction.
Right, that was taking it
So,
out
I
of
mean, if you
commission
look
for
at
6
what
months.
This year's done with the construction, 3,000 should be hittable.
okay,
Right.
yep, okay, now I'm seeing, got it.
Does that all make sense? So that should zero that part out and not have to worry about that down there unless something disastrous hits.
And, we had also talked about, looking at increasing the rates. And I've got some
Comparisons,
comparisons, but not enough that I'm.
Are they all-
I have one or two.
are we similar to the one or two that you've got? I mean, I don't wanna, obviously. Especially for Hudson residents, we want people to use it.
And then the next is economic development, and that's at 0. right?
Correct.
For this year.
Yeah. It is next budget. Okay. All right, planning and zoning.
I would like to see for planning and zoning, there's again, we stuck $1,000 in permits. We've only made $286. We're not gonna get $1,000 in permits next year. Again, we're nickel and diming this stuff, but I wanna make sure that we're close to adding that up, so. Can we just take that revenue out? You know what I mean, that. If we're on the plus side of that, we can't spend more than that in this department anyway. You know, but let's not falsely show that there's gonna be income coming in when we don't, when there's legitimately probably not gonna be income.
Okay.
That blank stares at me.
Any,
Does anybody else have any comments about that? Lori, Carol? Matthew?
then we're fine with planning and zoning?
I mean, everything else seems to be pretty on par with. The only other question I had is we've printed and published $1,600 and we only have $1,500 in the proposed budget for next year.
And under planning and zoning.
Yeah.
It will, so that would include any development agreement, ordinances and different things like that. It'll all just depend on how much of that we do.
But again, we've already spent $1,600 and we're only budgeting $1,500. Is that a realistic amount?
Oh, well, probably not. Maybe bump it up to
I mean,
3,000, but again, it's gonna depend on how much happens in the next fiscal year.
right, but we don't wanna under budget, spend it somewhere else. And then have that go over and have us in the same predicament we're in, you know, we have to realistically budget with what we've got.
Yeah.
So if we've gotta cut, you know, if we've gotta add $2,000 there, we gotta take $2,000 from somewhere else,
Um,
cause we're already down 1,000 here by taking out that revenue.
Chrissy, is that printing done professionally or is that printing done here?
the printing, that's all like, publishing in the newspaper.
Okay,
Standy stuff.
that's where the money comes.
We could probably cut out, engineering.
So engineering, we've got 5148 in there,
We spent 1,000.
and we've spent
So
1,000.
you don't
so far.
anticipate,
Yeah, I don't.
Okay.
Again, it's all gonna depend on what we do.
do we want to, and if we're taking out that 1,500, do you want to, or increasing that to 3,000, do you want to take the 1,500 then from engineering?
Yeah, make that 3,500.
So realistically, the engineering cost, we've only spent $1,000 so far this year. Do we know, I mean, previously we were budgeting $14,000 for it. And we've only
That's-
spent 987. Do we know what we spent the previous year before that on it? Because we can't, I mean, looking back 1 year is fine, but what's the average? You know, was this a fluke or?
It's engineering under the umbrella of planning and zoning, right? Not just engineering for any purpose.
No, it's community development.
Yeah. So my guess is that we had development going on that costs more in
And then
those
has-
years. And this year, we haven't had as much going on. So
Right.
Right, that's what I
Right,
mean. So
yep.
do you really wanna take all of it out of there though?
The 1,500?
Yeah, and only, cause then you're down to $3,000 and we last year budgeted 14,000.
Yeah, but we've only spent.
1,000.
Right. That's why I'm wondering what the year before was, why is it that high?
FY 24 was 22,000.
That's how much we spent.
From
And how did we only
year
spend
ending
$1,000?
2024.
Hmm?
The year ending 2024. So since July 1st, we've only done $1,000. Okay,
But the year before we spent 22,000.
This is all year to date, isn't year to date. It's till.
the end of December, right,
Right.
Yeah, it's just a half a year.
half a year.
I'm good with 3,500 there.
No, I don't know that I am.
Yeah, but it's 1,500 gonna offset that 22,000? I mean, if we average that out, it's 23,000 divided by 2. Now we're up to $11,000. We should budget.
Then we should budget, so then let's do it, I mean. Because if we only budget $3,500. And we've got development that's coming in that's potentially down the pipe, because. There very potentially could be, and we're over budget, then we're still back in the same spot we are.
What's your thoughts then? What amount?
I mean, I'm thinking, do you need to raise that to like the 10,000 mark? Again, I'd rather have it,
So
if we've got to cut from
Still have
something
northern tier developments coming.
on the west side of it.
What's really still pending or could be pending?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Apartments, right?
No, they're all,
They're
they're
apartments
they're
are
done,
Okay.
they're done.
I thought there was gonna be something
A lot of
coming
that
across the
fell
road.
in 23-24. That's a decent chunk of that $22,000.
And a lot of that is already, that residential there on the west side, that's pretty well been engineered and everything.
No, there was a plat given by neighbors for future development, which is still up in the air,
He's still got one pending?
Yeah.
Yeah,
which,
but it's
looking at that plat, it was a
very,
year development that could be.
What's happening
Very
on the north
pending.
side?
the north side of what?
Are you talking like Twin Oaks?
So
Yeah.
Kate, I think I'd err where you're at in the middle.
There is.
I mean, that's what I'm
there's
thinking.
One or two.
I don't think you're gonna have a year like what you had.
No.
23-24.
But I don't think we're gonna have $5,000,
But I don't think you're-
3,000,
Right. I mean,
you know what I mean, that if we've got to do it, we've got to have it in there, you can't under budget and then overspend.
Or just don't spend.
Right, well, yeah, if it's a project coming in and we say, sorry, we can't use your development because we don't have enough money in the budget for engineering.
Well, that
Which
was,
is an
that was-
unfortunate state of affairs.
Right, but
that was the whole
still,
thing the other night. We only had fluff to buy a box of Kleenex.
right,
That's not big enough. We
Right.
need some type of fluff for that emergency
Right.
case, so.
but I still think that personally, I think we put $10,000 in there. And we figure out, if there's nickel and dime spots that we can come back up with that later.
So we got $1,000, $3,000. You're talking to put another $8,000 into there, right?
No,
No,
well,
Yeah,
yeah,
basically.
$8,000.
yeah, to
Or
take
just
it
bring
from one.
And it -1,
so
so.
the
plus
5148, you want to add another 5 to make it 10,000?
Mhm.
Okay,
So first of all, I think 5148 is a really weird number.
That was just a 40% cut.
Oh.
of What I had in there, and I couldn't tell you what I had.
Chrissy, are
60%
you,
more than that.
Chrissy, are you gonna be able to make these changes and tell me when we get it in black or red, the numbers we're talking about?
Yeah.
Okay.
If you give me a minute to end it down over time.
Okay, no, I think that's what it's gonna be important. We can look at it
Right.
now. We get to the bottom.
And then we'll have
red or
to see
black.
where we have to go back. But yeah, like I said, I don't wanna, there's no purpose in. We kinda talked about that with the salt and sand stuff too, that. Yeah, it only snowed twice this year. What if it snows 8 times next year? Somebody knock on wood that doesn't happen, cause I don't like to shovel, but. We've gotta be able to buy the salt and sand, can't just not have it.
Okay, so let's put that at 10 and we'll move to the next category, see how.
the next is,
Mayor.
mayor and council.
Pretty expensive. Not a lot we can do that without, cause we can't change wages until after the election, even if we do change them.
Right. So
We
that's.
gotta write our checks back,
You are.
endorse them over.
We've got very minimal costs in there still, but. Mayor and council staff development,
Yeah, I was
if
just
we
gonna
need to
say,
pull that
we wanna
$1,000 out, we can pull that $1,000 out.
Yep.
What's
It's
that 500 travel for?
For like,
League of
10
Cities.
Yeah, League of Cities Annual Conference.
So if we can't go to that this year, we can't go to that this year.
Yep.
So,
So I say we cut both of them. If you guys are fine with,
I am.
okay?
I mean, you could do still the virtual stuff that's out there, without travel expenses
Yeah.
on that. And that just zeroes that out to the bottom dollar that we have, right?
Right. Okay.
No, I'm good. Mine's not
Okay,
coming up.
Office of the City Clerk.
Okay,
So the wages that you have there include includes not rehiring the deputy city clerk after her retirement.
that is not in this. Chrissy? That is, this amount is not including a deputy. Which. What if in that concept for next year? That's exactly what I was just gonna say, because that goes back to the same thing of,
And when you get findings on segregations of duties.
Right,
When you get, and you only have one person, that's a partial solution to that, is to have a deputy clerk.
Recommendations then on that?
But again, you can't afford it this year, I'm not implying.
no,
Yeah.
Right.
How much training has to happen?
The training that I have in there is certification related, so it's my clerk certification.
And it has to be done.
But you're already
To maintain.
certified, right?
Yeah, I'm already certified, but I have to have so many contact hours every year.
can those be done virtually?
Not IMFOA, they cannot. So they don't have a virtual option.
And the uniforms was, we can take that out.
Yeah.
Okay, yep, because that's just when we were getting shirts.
We
and
didn't use
stuff,
any of that
so,
this year
yeah,
anyway.
nope.
Dues and membership, is that pretty close?
We can cut that, cause the main, dues and memberships would be, again, the IMFOA. And
Do we pay a League of Cities
and the
membership?
league, yeah.
So do you think, I mean, is $500?
Yeah.
The league's only like $200
Yeah,
a
the
year,
league
isn't
is
it?
not very expensive, and IMFOA is, it went up to like $150.
So if we change that to $500. Because that does not include, I think we probably included chamber in that.
No, that comes out of general government. That comes out, I think, out of general government.
Okay, we'll get to that one then.
Double check.
Yeah, I've been on one. I can't get to their website. I couldn't either. Earlier, didn't get.
I can't get to the Iowa Municipal Finance Officers Association.
I haven't been able to.
Yeah,
either.
IMFOA.
In the state association site.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Chamber comes out of the general government.
So the $500 should be good with that, so we gained $1,000 there.
So it's like 2,000 gained on that page.
Yeah,
On the election, we can't do anything about it, right?
Nope.
Have to encourage people to take out papers to run.
All right,
Jeff
legal
Ford?
legal
your name.
services.
I didn't just look at you, I said your name out loud even. Where are we at?
Are we good with the legal services?
I think we should raise hers.
And this is for council meetings only, right? That's the note over there.
Oh,
So this is when,
Should be good on that.
we've only paid you $637 this year.
Just out of that category.
Oh, just this,
Just for council,
July to December.
through December.
oh, just for council meetings?
Yeah.
That's probably right. Yeah,
okay,
what did you budget? Oh, you don't know what you budgeted?
3,000 for the council meetings only.
Oh, okay.
City Hall,
City Hall,
Okay, so this one, obviously, so far jumped because of renovations.
right,
What
What did we, before we started that, what did we
Okay,
spend?
now I need one of those, please.
Building
Jake,
maintenance?
You got a price on what that's gonna cost out there to redo that wall? We've got that.
That wall
block out there
situation, yeah,
moving.
yeah.
I mean, that's gonna be something we need to look at.
Yeah.
soon.
That can be expensive.
Yep. Okay.
You have a guess?
Having three courses partway down and doing some grading work. I guess it's probably 4,000.
5,000?
Really? I
So
guess that's low.
FY 23,
Yes,
we spent 27,000.
but that we, redid some of the building outside
Yeah, we redid-
because of the age.
Yep,
Can
and
you
that
look at-
would have been,
Can you look
when-
at 22?
yep, and that's when we would have, done the retaining walls.
Okay.
So there might be 5 to 10 that you could take out of that. Might be.
Until we have a furnace or an air conditioner.
Mini split needs adjusted out there too and moved, so there's more than just that block there.
You might only have 5.
I don't have the 22 numbers.
I think that.
I think you still leave it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Matt, any input on that?
Nope.
Daryl, any input on that?
Good.
Lori?
No, sounds like we're gonna need
Utilities. We get those cheaper, turn off the lights.
Or not as much as I can.
I think reserves, I mean, there's no reserves in here, so for this year, so I think we're good. As far as I'm good. I don't know about the rest of you.
I'm sorry, I have a hard time reading.
Insurance, property, auto.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So we're budgeting 50 grand for this, $50,000. Last year we budgeted $125,000 for property insurance.
How much was your bill last year?
Right, that's my question.
Hasn't been bad this year so far.
Oh,
700
there we go.
What?
We paid
2,700.
2,7777
Through
so
December.
far.
That renewal must be coming up.
Right, that's what I was just,
Yeah,
Yeah.
Say,
comes
something's-
April 1st.
my house is boarded.
I would imagine that's changed.
And imagine we might have to entertain an increase.
Oh, I'm sure there's an increase positive of it. Welcome to my life.
You get to be the bearer of that good news.
So FY 24,
Yes.
we spent 29,000. But I think when I was doing the budget, the rate increase was a lot more than.
On the entirety of your insurance premiums?
That's just.
All your property insurance, workers' comp,
No,
everything?
that's just the auto.
Oh, okay, I was
Yeah,
gonna
that's
say,
just the auto.
29 is not, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry.
So we did
So-
29,000 last year was what it was. So even if you're at I wouldn't monkey with that personally. I mean, I just think that you just don't know. It's,
We don't know.
that's the unknown part of
Why
that.
was,
Leaving it at the 50?
why was the budget
Why was,
this year 125?
Yeah,
that's my question.
me too.
I think what we had, I think what I did was just took what was in there previously and then added what the insurance agent thought it was gonna increase.
And you just thought it was gonna go up 100 grand?
But where's the rest of the property insurance at in this budget?
It's gonna be, I think that's actually that's the whole thing.
That's
I just need to change the category.
Okay, so that's the
Sorry.
category for everything.
That's the category for everything.
Okay, so what was our total insurance premium for property, auto,
So
everything that's in there, we're gonna have to put in there. I think it's gonna be more than 50.
so the 29,000 is all that, it was all that there was.
No way.
That's property and
That's what, yes.
Auto and.
Really?
As your work comp, your property, your buildings, your liability, your commercial general. I'm sorry, I cannot fathom that.
What's this
I
group
just saw
insurance like?
Fairbank, who was it the other day? It was $80,000. I think it was Jessup's was $80,000 for their premium.
There's a,
It can't be $29,000.
there's a category down here, like 2 lines down, that says group insurance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is that?
Your vehicle's
That's-
loan would be
that's probably for
$29,000.
health.
That makes sense.
Is that probably for like employees, medical? All that?
Yep.
Cause if you take those two and put them together, we got 320.
So, so it comes out of the 660, which is property and auto, and then everything else, work comp is, the group insurance,
The 690.
699, yep.
So
Your commercial general, like your liability on all the buildings, your liability on all the cars, and you believe that total, don't you have the bill from April of last year?
That's what I'm looking at right
Okay,
now.
and so what is that?
So the bill, so what came out of the property and auto line item was 30,204. And then what is out of the group insurance, which is work comp and everything else, is 73,000.
So
103, 717.
Okay,
that's a 6 month. Right?
That's for the whole year.
That's a whole year payment?
Yeah.
Okay.
But that number can't be 50 then, that number needs to be 120 or 100.
Well, but Kate, drop down to the next category, 699. You got group insurance there. We have a total of 270 on that. That's
Okay, thank you.
515.
So we've got 320 budgeted and we spent about 130? Does that?
Yeah.
Look right?
Yeah, we spent 103 out of both of those.
So you could take your auto probably to 45 and really cut your 270 down.
So the 92, 345, 71 number that's in here that says it was expended 312.24. That was a full year premium, so we don't have any more due in that amount. Because if it's due in April, we wouldn't have paid any of it out of here yet. Depending on which one's due, or when they're all due.
Yeah, so what is through Blackhawk Insurance is due April 1st, and then the insurance, like health insurance and stuff, that'll renew June 1st.
But either way, both of them would have been due.
So if you combine those two line items, we got 95,000 on those two line items if you go auto and group.
But that would have been since July first and all the other payments were due
Before that,
before July first.
June, right?
she said it was due April and June. And this would have been spent from July 1st through December 30. So what did we spend 92,000 on between July 1 and?
Covers all employees by department.
Yeah, that's what it is, but we wanna know what we spent between.
Is the police department separate then?
Not as employee insurance.
This is where the monthly health insurance comes out of.
$699
Yes, the 001699 is where, the Walmart comes out on a monthly basis.
Okay, so we've spent, in 6 months, we spent 92,000 on,
Oh,
Okay.
so it's
so
gonna be
that'll be double, so that'll be 185. Plus the 103,
That's 103.
right?
The
So we should be at, if we're doing those. You're at 290. Plus anything that goes up,
And we got 320 in there.
Mm-hmm.
so we should be, that should be close then, right? I mean, it's not gonna go down. Insurance is not gonna go down.
No,
I think we need to look at how that's cut between the two lines.
Well, there needs to be a better, yeah, there needs to be a better accounting in that because.
I mean, I think the numbers are right. It just how they're
broke
put in
down.
there. We need to look at.
Yeah.
Moving that, Chrissy, probably a little bit.
So the insurance property auto should include the insurance property auto plus the building plus the,
Plus your liability.
and then group insurance should be your
Walmart.
health insurance, your employee insurance. If that would make more sense to me.
Yeah.
Fairfax,
There's more than just health in there, right? Probably.
all this.
Which completely makes sense to me,
You're right. I
right?
mean,
So
like
that's why
dental
Yeah.
and
three is back where
all
you
those
should
things
be.
are probably in that number.
Okay. So still at 320 between group health and
Auto liability.
commercial lines, everything with it, we should be fine.
Which would be fine. Chrissy, the next one, the dues and membership, what's that for? Cause we didn't spend anything so far in the first half of the year. Would that be? Jake, where do you belong to?
I would come out of this. Or out of like the hubs and stuff. That's the chamber.
Chamber?
Which is $130 times two. Is that how much it is? How much is it?
175.
Times two?
170.
So
Um,
$350.
Do we have more than just the 2 memberships? We have 3 memberships.
Usually only two, we sure.
Library has one in addition to that.
Yeah,
Oh,
that
yeah,
would come out
that's
of the library.
Yeah.
Part of it.
Yeah.
So if that's all that,
So you put $1,000 in that total, or even. Makes more sense than 2405.
That's fine.
What does that do?
no,
It's already been paid.
It was paid, in January.
Equipment maintenance, I don't think we can. Phone,
When's the last time we did an RFP for our phone services?
We did 2 years ago.
We need to do that again in the next upcoming year,
Well, that's when
probably.
we went to Unite Private Network, because it's voice
VPN.
over IP.
further discussion on that one or anything?
So we cut, what was the amount we cut out of that? Just 1,000 or $1,400 positive. on that one.
1,400. Oh, okay, gotcha.
You want to say that? No, I don't. I was gonna suggest that. I'm gonna shut down. Oh. Not that we don't enjoy it, but I know it makes total sense. I'm not adding much more to the next sense point.
Right. Any of the rest of
I've
that?
been sneezing and blowing my nose. I got it.
General government then? Is that still
Okay,
accounting audit? That's usually what we spend a year.
we're adding to it.
I was just gonna say. Do we wanna add to that at this point to be able
Well-
to?
Did our audit that we got last July, then we paid the 16,725
Yes, that is for,
for that audit.
that's for FY 23
Three.
audit as well as the filing fee for the state.
We're gonna
So
have-
do we anticipate it being much more than that? Can we cut it to 20,000?
Oh, we're
Your,
gonna be
the
paying for
audit,
another.
the
Yeah, that's cool.
audit would be about.
But if we, I mean, okay, that base, and then we'll then we can add in the other, so do we take it to 30?
I take it to 30.
Yeah.
Okay.
From 28 to 30?
Yep.
Because the fact is, we probably won't pay for that until, well, I guess we will pay for it now.
Right.
Yeah.
But, if something else comes up, but we find something there,
Yeah.
we're gonna have to dig.
Could be
deeper.
more.
Yeah.
Yeah, so.
Okay.
Thank you.
Same
Thanks,
here.
Heather.
See you, Heather.
I do think that we need to bump up the legal fees that are under this amount. With all of this going on, she's had a lot of hours that we're gonna be adding into that. We've already spent 3,600 through
End of,
end of the year,
End of December.
yeah,
and we only are budgeted 3,200 for the total year for these
For the-
additional legal fees. I
the
mean, I would
upcoming
like to
year.
see you go that even like $10,000 for that, just to be,
Well, that's,
This next year.
yeah, this is next year.
oh crap.
Do we think we're gonna have most of those fees done by the beginning of July?
We're gonna have to budget amend for that, aren't we?
Yeah.
I'd leave that 3250.
You'd leave that? Even though you've already spent 3,600 on the normal portion of this?
You project in 24, 25, 26.
Well, whatever 3,600 is
72?
run of the mill stuff.
So, Chrissy, why would that have been 36? What, I know you budgeted 75, which is about right. Is there anything out of the line in 24, 25 for the legal fees, or is that pretty normal?
That is probably pretty normal.
Then we need to change it.
Right.
I put 7,500 in.
Yeah, put the 75 back. The payment to other agencies.
Mhm.
Haven't
Nothing
done,
this year.
what do we normally do?
I don't know.
Thank you.
We don't do anything with it, so you can take that out.
Okay,
Good,
There's $6,000, Kate.
yay. Finally.
and the printing and publishing again then is,
I think we stick with, because we're at 3,500 so far. I like the 7,500.
okay.
I'm assuming Danny's gonna raise your prices
Wait, what?
for publishing.
She doesn't, she has to go according to the state rate.
Yeah,
Oh.
definitely.
Yeah, that's not Danny's fault, that's, so,
She can't raise her prices.
So wait, what's the total?
7,500. We start 3,500 by the end of the year.
technology software. That's what we spend monthly for RSPN, and if we get any new,
Okay, so we've already spent $45,000 for technology and software this year. What did we do update wise? Did we G-Works something?
No, that would have been,
We did a refund from G-Works?
that is gonna include, I think that was a server update that we did. So that's gonna include, our current IT,
Which is what, 2,400 a month?
yeah. Um. Then we have,
In my head.
an annual subscription to Archive Social that would help us if we ever have a, like an open reference request for like our social media.
How much is that?
That would be 4,661, which we don't necessarily have to keep. It's more of an, like an insurance type thing.
So insurance to cover us if, what kind of scenario?
So like an open, so all of the city's social media, like Facebook pages and stuff are open to public.
Comments.
Like, yeah, well, they're open to open records requests, and
Mhm.
so this helps to archive them. So if, say that you have someone that wants all of the posts that have been made for dogs, you can go into Archive Social and search for dogs, and everything that we've ever posted will come up, and you,
And what's our liability if we didn't do that?
it's a crapshoot. I mean, we would still have to adhere to the open records request. It would just, it maybe would take a little longer and we may miss something. So, but
I don't think we can.
And how much was that again?
$46,000. $44,000. I don't think we should take that chance.
the technology also includes, G-Works stuff.
What do we pay monthly for G-Works
We
program?
pay 30,375 a year.
So we're at 29,000. How much? 30 for G-Works?
30,375.
So 29 and 30 is 59 plus another 5, 45,000. And what are we? We're budgeting 65.
Which is right on our.
Yep. Okay,
If y'all cannot buy as many office supplies, that would be great.
well, obviously, we're going through Kleenexes tonight.
Bring my own Kleenex for the rest of the year. I'll
mean,
donate all the pens you could ever want. I have a whole bag of them at
I
home.
have a ton of them. We will never have to buy pens as long as.
So we have spent already $7,000.
I mean, and that
I don't-
includes everybody
That
in
includes
here.
everybody.
But yeah, obviously, if we can not buy more paper clips, that would be great. If we
I haven't
can,
bought paper clips the whole time I've been here.
perfect.
I don't think I've bought pens.
Don't.
Operating supplies is. What would that be?
Looks like. Probably some supplies for City Hall from.
So we've only spent 114.
Oh, that was light bulbs.
Light bulbs?
That was light bulbs.
Why wouldn't that go into office supplies? Why are there two separate ones for that?
I don't know if I'd count light bulbs. As
I wouldn't
office
count
supplies.
Yeah,
office
like
supplies.
operating, yeah, light bulbs to me are more operating. They're not actual. office.
More maintenance on
What,
I mean,
light
it's
bulbs
500
and
bucks,
toilet
so-
paper?
Yeah. And we don't.
Okay.
We don't need that very often.
Okay. Postage, I think that's just
What
pretty
it
well
is.
in it, what it is.
That's gonna go up too probably, so
Yep.
it's not going down for sure.
Okay,
So we still gained, oh, nope, we lost, no, we still gained on this, right?
You should have.
Cause we took out 6,000. But we lost 3,000 and 2,000, so we're still positive $1,000 there,
okay.
approximately. Okay,
Okay, let's see.
so this is on, wait,
No,
So the 001,950 is all revenue, so property taxes, liquor licenses, franchise fees, interest,
okay,
um,
oh, okay.
Okay.
So, yeah. Liquor license, do,
are we really gonna get $2,500 in liquor
it's just gonna be,
licenses?
what did we,
When we brought in 175 so far this year.
it all depends on when they renew. A vast majority of liquor licenses renew in the spring, but,
what was the revenue at the end of June of 2024?
I'm sure she had a basketball game tonight. No.
So at the end of June of 2024 was $1,913.46.
Well, let's cut that down to 2,000.
I don't think we're having any new bars opening. Franchise, cable TV.
That's what we get for MediaCom each year,
Yeah.
correct?
Yeah, we did that a quarter.
So that's like, okay,
So is that really 3,500? Was that 2 quarters or was that only 1 quarter?
That would have been only 1 quarter. At the end of FY 24, the revenue was 16,626.80. But it all will depend on how many people stay with.
Right.
right. I don't know if we can count on,
Your 10 is probably pretty accurate then.
Okay.
Interest, I think we cut down on interest income.
yeah,
I would prefer, obviously, I think we should just take that 5,000 out, to be honest with you.
I agree.
Jeff,
Yeah,
Daryl,
I'm seeing the shaking heads down here.
shaking hands.
Okay, miscellaneous. What,
What is miscellaneous income?
yeah,
That is gonna be. Everything that doesn't fit.
such as,
Category, but
okay,
Why are these numbers not under the revenue total? You know what I'm saying? Like, if this is all revenue, why is it all over here?
Good question.
Why are the budget and not revenue? It's column, is that what you're asking?
yeah, yeah, why was it carried over to the,
Yeah, that makes it pretty confusing, doesn't it?
mhm.
Ground to a crawl here. I mean, is there a way for us to flip through this and see what categories are of concern and then deal with those and then keep moving? I've got about 3 notes here when we're all done that I want to circle back on from last meeting and this meeting. And I'm not saying if we have to go slow, let's go slow, but if we don't, let's not.
I'm saying we probably need to go slower. I don't know, what are the rest of your feelings?
well, I think we need to look ahead while Chrissy's doing that and see if there's categories that jump out to us.
Well, yeah, the transfer out is my question too, of why that's $15,844, what that number is.
Because we can't keep asking questions or. whether
Right.
she can
Yep.
go back.
While she's trying to, so we can't really move ahead.
You can look
I
ahead.
mean, then.
You can,
We could, you know, we can barter back and forth.
So the miscellaneous is going to be water tower rent. It will also be, garbage stickers.
Do pet fees go in that or is that in there?
that's in police.
The income money might
Yeah,
go
there'll
there?
be any, like any refunds that we may get from,
Well, I think we're safe to leave it where it's at then,
Yeah. I would say.
considering we've got the 5,000
Yeah.
through the end of December.
Yep.
All right,
what was the question?
$15,000 in transfer out.
9, 10, 69, 10.
Because there was a transfer in on the previous page. No? No, that's all. Okay.
Some sort, it doesn't, I don't have details. I don't know what that would be.
Was that's still an income
No,
account? That's an expense account?
Yep, anything that starts with 6 in the
Right.
third set of is income. I don't have any, I do not have details on that, but it looks like I just have a journal number. Or a GL number. I don't know what that would be. But I can research it. I don't know.
Yeah, we need to
Bunch
find
of
out
years,
what
I was
that
gonna
is.
say, make a note for that one.
That takes us to the end of general government, right?
Yep.
Correct.
Right.
That we're getting close.
Your road use tax is in and out.
Okay.
And is that an accurate amount of what we're getting?
That's an estimate. We have to just we go by estimates that the state gives us.
Right, but is it an accurate amount based on what we've gotten in this year versus? It's kind of like an escrow account, you take what you paid last year and
So-
assume that you're gonna get that much. Because that's averaged. That one, if I remember, it was an average of about 20,000.
Yeah, give or take. I think the average is a little higher than 20,000.
That was something one of these.
Yeah, it's based on a calculation that we get from the state. And I go on the line when estimating that.
So through half the year, we're at 184. So if you double that, is it the same every month for that year?
No,
Okay,
varies.
Based on gas.
so that puts you at 370. So you're about, I mean, that's pretty close. I'd say.
So, yeah. I was gonna say, we have down 28 to 30,000 a month based on what you told me originally. So that would be right.
Mhm.
And then. What was the other one? Local option, is that in here?
So the next, local option it's coming up. The 112 is, employee benefits. And that's based on property tax levies.
Oh, okay.
Okay. For the local
Now you're-
option,
Option.
So your local option is on on page 20.
so local option, we've gotten in $40,000, nope, sorry, excuse
Nope.
me,
213,
on page 20.
213, 161.
Through half the year.
Yeah.
So
Is that budget?
is that 605?
Yeah,
Yeah, 605 for 26.
But we've only gotten in 213 for halfway through this.
So when I go to the budget workshops, they're saying that, their projections are, a 10% increase over what we're getting.
That's still more than a 10% increase, though. I mean, that's $100,000 increase.
Well, we budgeted 550.
Yeah, so it's a 10% increase over last year's budget, but it is way overshot from this year's income.
Right.
That's kind of what, I mean. So right here, if $213,000 through 6 months, if that doubled, which I know it's not constant, that's $425,000.
yeah.
Times 1.10.
And so you're $180,000 short this year in actual revenue compared to next year's projection. Right?
So if we double that and add 10%, we should be looking at 468 as a projection for income for next year,
Mhm.
based on 213 doubled plus 10%.
So I do.
So I would say that we're only gonna get even, 450 or 460.
It's gonna come down quite a bit. That's pretty significant. I mean, that's $155,000 off.
And why are we not getting?
It's 1% sales tax, so if people aren't spending money,
Right.
we don't get
Okay.
sales tax.
If perhaps people aren't driving
Okay.
through Hudson because perhaps there's traffic cameras.
Yep.
As I've heard,
That doesn't have anything about the sales tax money.
well, they don't buy Hobbit cases.
Yeah, but it's countywide,
Oh, I think it's.
No.
Sales tax in
It's
Hudson.
just city.
is it?
Yeah,
Yeah, it's not countywide, it's just.
I know plenty of people who are avoiding
We
Hudson.
get 1%.
Went down a rabbit trail now. Let's.
Yeah, that's.
Yeah,
hold on,
yeah.
sorry.
She asked the question why. I was answering.
So your
So-
1% sales tax is if you buy a new car at Caldwell, that goes into it. You buy gas at Casey's or, I mean,
I don't think it's, yeah,
So do you want that 460? You want it 500? What?
I would say 460 at the most as an estimate for bringing it in.
I'm with that.
How are you?
then I need
Okay.
to, then I'll have to adjust, what gets told their account then, which is fine.
I mean, I'd rather undershoot income than overshoot income.
Yeah. Okay, so the next is the tip.
Yep.
Looks like we're pretty much on,
And I get all
On
of those
level.
estimates from the county.
okay,
That will do.
okay.
Employment.
I just put $5,000.
Okay.
I don't know that we've ever spent that.
I hate to take that out though.
Well.
No,
Right.
Yep. Okay,
Your 202 is debt service. These are what we will be paying back on all of the debt that we have.
and this will be for June of 2026.
Yeah, we pay just interest in December of the fiscal year, and your principal and interest is in June.
So this is everything that we,
And that number's gonna go up pretty significantly. Right?
we don't know yet,
no,
and we can probably go,
We can
yes.
assume that it will.
so,
Yeah, depending on if they can roll any of that into it together,
Right.
when you revise stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, knowing that, if we've got, what's the total? That we're paying,
The total that we pay,
yeah,
that we're projected to pay next fiscal year is $956,175.
so,
okay,
And like the fiscal year 26 is the last year to pay on the sewer loan. So that you'll have 85,000 that'll drop off.
okay, so that takes us down to,
say that again, how much?
Well, I think it's 85,000 that you'll
Okay.
have drop off at the end of FY 26.
but we can assume then that we're gonna go back up.
Yeah. Correct. The 300s are all of your capital projects, sorry.
Sorry, one more question. Sewer loan is done after 25?
No, 26.
Six.
20 FY 26 is the last payment for that loan that you got. in-
So we still have it in all of this
Yeah.
budget
Yeah.
and all of the next budget.
Right,
Yeah, the FY 26 will be the last time that we.
So
budget for
two more
that.
budgets, this one and the next
No,
one.
just this one.
Just the one.
just this one we're working on.
Because the next one's FY 27.
Got it.
Then your 300 are capital projects.
But that is part of what we're also looking at wrapping into those bonds.
Right.
You know what I mean? So if we're budgeting $457,000 here for, wait, we're budgeting to spend 457 on the
Well,
wetland project? Is that what's numbered in here for that? 456,800,
456,800, correct.
but we're not spending 456,800, right?
That's the total cost of the project.
Right, but aren't we,
right, we have a grant.
but where's that figured in this budget then for that grant?
300, the 314,875, the bond proceeds, that is the grant and the loan.
Okay, so you're zeroing yourself out here? Okay,
Okay.
but we don't, and then we have. But we don't have any dollar amount listed in the engineering for the Butterfield Bridge. But we should have $85,000 in there.
That, that Butterfield Bridge project, the engineering should be done in this fiscal year.
Gonna be done before June?
The engineering will be done, not the whole project.
Jake, did you have that on your list? No?
Or by July 1st.
So. Can you add that to your list just so we don't miss it?
Mark, send you figures on that, Chris. Send you the.
It would just be the, was it the,
It was the engineering land acquisition, they were with the city.
I don't think I have gotten those numbers.
Would the land acquisition be before July 1st as well?
Probably, that's my question.
Did he say when bid letting would be for that, cause it'll be federal bid letting, right? Cause isn't it a federal payment for the rest of it?
We got a federal grant, well, state. We'll still do our own bid letting. He had everything laid out, I thought, and even he sent it to. I think bidding was fall of this year and work would be completed. In 26.
Fall of this year? Which means with that engineering then go into next year.
Yeah, I would have to go into next year.
The vast majority of engineering probably fall here. Because most of your engineering companies are on the 20. I mean, it gets.
Right.
70% of engineering gonna come before you even bid the project.
Right. But what I'm wondering is, do we need to put something in there for that?
Mark was supposed to be sending figures. I have yet to see an email.
Yeah, it's possible that I missed something, but I don't think I did.
I think Gail was supposed to include it on the email.
I haven't gotten anything.
Mark Durbin, I'm assuming you're talking about.
Okay.
So do you think we should put something in there for that, for a portion of that?
You say 85 grand was the total thing, Jake?
I don't know. That's, I think what Chrissy.
That was an estimate that we had
That was
talked about at one point.
So I mean. Yeah, I was gonna say half or at least a third of it, 25 grand,
I feel better with half.
40 grand, 40,
For
40.
the 25-26 budget,
Mhm.
25? 40. Oh, 40, I'm sorry. I thought you were saying 25-40.
You're not approving the budget tonight, correct?
Correct.
Correct, right,
Yeah.
I will finalize numbers.
Yes,
okay.
so somebody star that one so that we know to update that when we get that from him and follow up with it before we
Okay.
get finals.
Hey, can you shake his tree and see if we can have that by Wednesday morning? Thank you.
I'll see if you can zoom it.
That'd be good.
So then again, this 100,000 transfer in, Chrissy, where is that coming from?
Coming from local option.
This is where I get confused.
Okay. Alright. And these are next are the enterprise accounts, and those are just utility fees coming in and paying for the water and.
Um. And those zero out at the end with theirs.
Yeah, right now I have water having, a positive balance of 129,000, but again, it just depends on what you get in, you pay out.
But that's also gotta be separate from
That's separate.
completely,
Yep, that's. separate.
utility building has to be
Yep.
completely off of that. So that's not figured in our total budget number at the end of the 5.6 million or whatever that dollar amount.
No, it's still figured in as your total budget. But what you pay, what you get in from your water fund should pay for your expenses for water fund.
So you have a big expense number and a big revenue number.
Yeah. Or zero each other out, right?
Yes. Ideally, that's what you bring in is what you bring in.
Okay.
Good with that?
Well, the total at the ends is our total and those are all gonna change.
The total at the end.
Yeah.
Okay, so with the changes we made them tonight based off of the other ones, what questions do you have from the other night?
Well, my first thought is, Jeff, you said, are we gonna be in the red or in the black? And I think obviously we have to be in the black, but we have to be way in the black. And the reason we have to be way in the black is because, not only do we need to spend less than we brought in, but we need to catch up for what's been overspent. So it's not just enough to be $25,000 or $50,000 in the black. We're gonna have to be significantly in the black. And so I mean, I'm not, when you said, are we in the red or the black, that just reminded me to remind us, like, and then the two other things that we talked about last time were the police department, and I'm wondering if there's anything else that Danny has done with those numbers, or I don't remember where we left that with them.
You saw Danny's email on the cell phones.
But he was able to cut another,
He's going to T-Mobile from
1,800, switch to T-Mobile, right?
the 1,800 for the year.
I did not see that email.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I didn't get it. I just,
Danny sent that out. He did a lot of work on it. That looked promising. I mean, that's a small number equated to where we're at, but I mean, at least it's something.
we talked about, you were going from, correct me if I'm wrong on this, you have 7 full-time cops and then 2 part-times,
Part-time,
and your revised budget was taken down to 6 full-time,
correct.
right? And you were gonna get rid of a car.
Correct.
But we kind of talked about, that's a little bit nonsensical because you're not gonna capture a lot from a car. Maybe that's the right decision. I don't know. And I said, what would happen if you lost another cop? And you weren't happy about that, but I'm just wondering where we're at on that discussion, or if we're done with conversation about the police department.
I do recall Kate bringing up the fact that there was, public interest in having 24/7 coverage too, so that's probably what some of that concern would be, I would guess.
I don't remember the details. I'm just re-raising that issue.
I'm thinking at this point where we're at is that we need to get new things updated and then we can take a look to see where we end up in the black and what we need to then take action forward to make us even more in the black.
Okay,
That's just my,
Yeah.
That's
I
fair.
think that'd be very helpful.
everyone feeling kind of the same way?
Because we did the same discussion about fire department, reserves too.
Yeah.
And if we have the ability to give that whole amount for reserves versus having to cut some of
That
that.
was the question I was gonna ask, how last time at our last meeting, you had mentioned taking 50 grand from our reserves and using that and
And that was prior to understanding that 80,000 from the other when you ask for 225, you're really asking 140 from us. And I was taking it, you were asking 225 from us. I mean, I think that helped a lot. You know, I think that made more sense to us. So right now, I'd like to evaluate where our numbers are and see, you know, before we take and solo out any department. You know, hearing a citizen speak tonight about the police, you know, that's something we need to think about, you know, do we go to 5? Do we stay at 6? What do we do? I mean, we still have to have protection, but we need to make the budget look good.
Yeah, knowing that there's, you know, none of us wanna be in this position, none of us wanna cut anything, if we don't have to, obviously.
Right.
And savings accounts, reserves are gonna be the first on, you know, that if we have to cut back to me, you know, if we can't put as much in for 1 year or 2 years or whatever, you know, we're gonna have to make do. So at the end of the day, if we've gotta cut another $300,000-400,000 out of expenses, we gotta do it.
We
you
just
know?
gotta remember if we take them out of that reserve that we did as we go forward, you know, that, okay, we take a reserve from 150 to 75.
Right,
You know, next year when we sit around this table and do the discussion, that we don't just take 75 and mark it up 5. You know, hey, realize it was 150. But Kate, you're on track. I mean, I think this is gonna be the year to tighten things up, but we still gotta remember what we did.
right.
Did you have another question?
My last one was, have you put in, have you eliminated the 3% raises for the department heads in your new numbers, Chrissy?
No, I have not. I didn't do anything with the wages, only because I think where the discussion ended was to leave them in there. But I can absolutely pick them out. It's just a matter of,
I think we talked about leaving it to evaluate, knowing that it's there, that's a line item that we need to look at hard when this thing comes back.
When we get the final numbers before we approve the budget.
Well, and I also think we talked about, you can put it in there, but don't necessarily have to. If we don't put a 3% raise in there, we cannot give any, if we only put a 1% raise, we can't give any more than a 1% raise. If we put a 3% raise in there and we end up spending only a 2% raise based on how we do each individual raise, we can still do that and be over in that. But you cannot spend it if it's not in there. And the difference between a 3% and a 2% raise was, you know, it wasn't, there was a couple $1,000s in there. Again, if we have to cut a couple $1,000s, obviously that's one place we're gonna go look at. Because when things are tight, I think you said that last time, in a business, when things are tight, raises don't get handed out. You know, that's just kind of where it goes to. But also knowing that we wanna keep good people and we wanna, it's cheaper to maintain than to train,
I mean, we had over $500 cuts tonight.
right?
Right,
Absolutely.
Okay, well, I wasn't clear that we were gonna have another crack at this.
I think we're gonna have to, yeah,
I was
but-
hoping to be done.
I don't think that's happening.
I
So-
don't think he was still talking about.
Oh, sorry, Gary.
Sorry, Gary.
What do you got?
Do you have, Chrissy, do we still have a line item, the 001-151-4300 and the 4475? It hasn't been on my current budgets, but it was, the second year I took over. Those are the interest for rural reserves and then the township assessment. I don't ever see those on our budgets anymore. Do those go away
no,
and get pushed somewhere else?
they shouldn't have, no. It probably just doesn't go on your sheet, like your monthly sheet.
Yeah, but I'm not seeing it here either because I don't see where the township money is listed in this budget.
I don't- If it's not on this, but I don't change this, the line item numbers, but I can definitely have it.
Okay, I mean, I'm just showing on, you know, our previous budgets, we've had those line items. And on
Yeah.
the last year or two, the line items have disappeared.
Okay,
That was on your list that you had separately, not this list, right?
Yes,
it was on the, like, the budget worksheet,
It was on,
yes, yeah.
okay,
And it was just, and then it says interest rural reserve.
all right, yeah, I just probably didn't print it for you. Cause I have to input it, and usually what I do is I just input 150, which is your department, but I can. Yeah.
And Matt, back to your point, yeah, we got a lot of other things we need to tackle and correct.
Mhm.
The sooner we can get this off our table and get back to
Yeah.
figuring out this fiscal year.
Yeah.
The better we are, so.
So do you guys want to meet in another week?
Where are we at in terms of timeline for having this due to the state, Chrissy?
So we will set a public hearing for this. So I'll have the public hearing for the property tax levy that we had to submit already. That'll be on the 24th, and then we'll set a public hearing to approve the budget on the 24th. And, that public hearing then would be April 10th. Because that way, if for some reason you don't approve the budget that night,
Mhm.
then it at least gives us one more budget or one more meeting to get things ironed out, because it's due to the state no later than the April 30th.
So on meeting on the 24th, do you want to just meet that night or you want to do it before that?
The other thing we gotta remember, Heather did say we can always go back and amend.
Correct.
You know, I think the biggest thing, we need to make sure this looks good to all of us. There's probably gonna be some amending done, honestly. Gail, it's up to you. If you wanna meet before the 24th, cause I think we need to come the 24th and ready to approve that on the
If
agenda.
there, yeah. if
Well,
there's something shouldn't be-
On the 24th, we're not approving the budget. On the 24th, we're setting a public hearing for April 10th.
Yep.
Right,
Right.
but at least so we got our ducks in.
Yeah. for
So
sure.
like with the property tax levy, like we did last year, it has to be its own separate meeting, so we would have that at 5:30. We sit here and more or less look at each other
for 10
for
minutes.
10 or 15 minutes, and then we would close that, and then we'd have your regular meeting at 6.
On the 24th.
Correct.
So if we're gonna, what you're saying is if we're gonna have our last kind of budget workshop meeting, it would have to be before that time. Like before 5:30.
Yeah, you're gonna want, if that's what you wanna do, if you wanna meet before, if you want to meet before,
Did you buy the last
the
truck?
council, yeah. I
On
would
the
say
24th.
You're gonna want
Did you
to
buy the truck last
meet like
year?
at 3.
24th works better than next year for me.
Yeah, or same with me, or we could do like this and tack this on the end of the meeting at the 24th.
We could go before and after. if we need.
Yeah.
Okay,
Why don't we do that?
let's do that.
Yep.
Do after?
Before.
Before and after.
Oh, before and after. So what time do you want to start?
What, you said we had to do something on the 24th where we look at each other for 15 minutes?
So you do the property tax levy, so, like last year, last year was the first year where they sent out the letter from the county that had your tax rate on it and what you would potentially be paying in property taxes for that year, but we have to, the state legislation set it so that we have to have a completely separate meeting than our normal,
Got it.
And what time will that be?
that'll be at 5:30.
Okay, so do that at 5:30
I'll make
and
it
then,
work.
and then how about the council meeting?
That's at
And then
6.
do that.
I'll make
Do
it
this
work.
afterward.
I'll make it work.
Well, do you wanna come at 4 and get started on that?
Okay, that's
I
great.
think so.
Let's do
All
that.
right,
Yep.
4 o'clock. Okay,
I'll make it work.
4 on the
Just tell
24th.
me when I'm supposed to be
you
here.
gotta take
Four on the
PTO for that?
We do have,
But it's-
we have a
That'll
an
pay me.
admin personnel meeting.
Thought you were gonna write your
We
check
can
over.
let
Yeah.
out.
I could do that.
Well.
Is this another workshop then? I mean, we'd like to be included in it with the
Yes,
fire department.
it's open.
Yeah.
It's open to anybody.
Yeah.
So,
But we-
Yep,
what night
4
are you-
o'clock,
And an evening
Monday the
personal
24th.
admin.
The
24th.
Monday the 24th at 4
I
o'clock.
don't think we'll need a, I don't think we'll need.
Are you gonna
Okay.
pay me for taking off work?
I ain't paying no one nothing.
I'm on overtime there.
Yeah, I'm on overtime, so it's always-
Okay,
I
so
don't-
are we good? Are we good?
We can plan on not having the admin personnel. on the
Right.
24th.
Right.
I don't think that there is anything that I am aware of. Unless
Okay.
something would come up in the next week, but
What's that? Yeah. So ready to move on? Okay. We've got, 7 informational items in the packet, reminder items, regularly scheduled meetings held at council chambers, Public Works, March 12th at 7 a.m. Mayor's Task Force, March 18th at 5 p.m. Personnel Admin, March 24th at 4:45, Public Safety Committee meeting, March 27th at 4 p.m. Next council meeting, Monday, March 24th at 6 p.m. and April 14th at 6 p.m. Do
Move to adjourn.
I have a motion? Do I have a second? Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? All right, we are adjourned. Thank you all.